Hi Chanel, as you know, we're just doing a few short interviews to get a sense of why people use social media. So why do you use social media?
Okay, so I am the Digital and Events Coordinator at USP8. So at work I use social media, and in my personal capacity I use social media. And I use it to share things with friends and family in my personal capacity, and in my work, whatever is required from me.
And what do you share?
I share pictures on Instagram, and I share a few quotes. I share things that inspire me. I share anything really I find interesting and relatable.
And which platforms do you mostly use?
I mostly personally use Facebook and Instagram, and then Pinterest as well, because those are where my interests are. But for work I use Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter.
All right.
So basically most of them.
And what do you foresee in the future for social media? Do you see it surviving, and any trends that you might want to put out there?
I see like there's a lot of people that want a bit of a digital detox, but then at the same time I see that there's a trend in, well, not a trend, but there's a lot of people that suffer from digital addiction. So I don't see it disappearing completely in the future, but I definitely see that there's a bit of a balance in it, but it will never disappear.
And any trends that you think might be happening from your experience?
I think that they will always try and up their game, so there will always be a bit of competition between the social media platforms, but nothing specifically I can think of at this moment.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Go. Hi, Adwa. We're just talking to you about social media and to get a sense of what you use social media for. So, why do you use social media?
I'm not really big into social media. I think I mostly use it for work purposes. I find it quite intrusive, but that's because I'm quite a private person. So that's my side.
And if you do use social media platforms, then which ones do you use?
Well, for work, I use LinkedIn quite a lot, and I also use Facebook, and we don't really use Instagram that much because I think it's for a younger audience than a lot of the programs than a lot of the programs that we target.
And then what do you share in those cases?
Articles, advertisements, basically.
So mostly thought leadership.
Thought leadership, and any articles that our faculty have written that we want our target market to be aware of.
And with your limited use of social media, do you foresee a future? And any trend that you might want to put out there?
I think video content is on the rise, sharing videos across social media platforms. And I think a growing trend is using social media as an advertising platform as opposed to just for interaction with peers. But that's, again, from a work point of view, I think that's going to grow.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time. Hi, Sammy.
Hi, Annette.
We're just doing a few short interviews to get a sense of why people use social media. Can I ask you a few questions?
Yes, you may.
Okay. So why do you use social media as a platform?
Basically for information, and then also like the Facebook you'll use to connect with friends and to track where friends are at. LinkedIn is basically for information, and then also to see what jobs is available, what other people is doing in their job, relation to their jobs. So that's basically it.
And do you use any other social media platform?
Not at this stage, no.
So Facebook, LinkedIn.
That's basically where mine stopped.
Okay, and Instagram, any of
No
those?
Instagram.
All right. And what do you foresee is a potential trend for social media in the future? Do you think it'll survive? And what would you see happening in the future?
If I look at what the children are doing these days, if I just look in my household, social media has become one of the most important things probably for the younger generation. I'm a bit older, so it doesn't faze me. It takes up a lot of time, I feel. So it's once a week or maybe once every second week that you go on social media. But if I look at the kids in the household, it's like every day. And it's more, they use it a lot more. So, yeah. So
Thank
it's
you very much.
definitely a growing environment.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Elsa Marie Botha from the University of Stellenbosch Business School, talking to you about social media and social media going forward in 2017. So, in today's talk, I'm going to touch on three things. The first, I'm just quickly going to touch on some foundations of social media, principles we need to understand before we can look ahead into the future. Then at some really interesting internet trends that's happening at the moment that's facilitating change. And then we're going to look at social media going forward for the rest of the year and for next year. So first thing that we need to understand is that all social media channels are not created equal. People use the term social media and they refer to one big group of channels that typically has the same strategy and people are approaching the same way. And even though we know that social media refers to blogs and wikis and sharing sites and social networking sites, we typically allocate one strategy or one goal to all social media channels. Yet Kitsman showed us that each social media channel can actually be seen as a honeycomb, and it's comprised of different component parts, and those parts include relationships, the reputation, or how you see other users and their social standing, groups and your ability to form groups and communities on the social media platform, conversations, how and what you share, presence, so the extent to which you know other people are on the social media platform, and in the center of this honeycomb is the user themselves and their image, or the extent to which they want to or can portray themselves. So we see, for example, how Facebook's honeycomb looks different from YouTube's honeycomb, and we need to bear that in mind as we approach social media and social media strategies. The second principle is that content on social media is driven through emotion. We know that the greater people's emotional response to content and the more it marries with their image, as discussed in the previous point, the greater the likelihood that that person is going to share that content. So people and users need to have a specific feeling or emotional connection to content before they start sharing the content, and those are important principles to understand. So after looking at the foundations of social media, we can look at a few interesting trends that is happening on the internet at the moment that will influence social media and social media usage. So Mary Meeker released her Internet Trends report a few weeks ago, and she reported some really interesting findings that is driving usage on social media. The first one is that internet usage continues to grow. So in the States, it grew 4% year on year. In Africa, we see in general, we have about a 28% penetration rate, but that the majority of this growth comes from mobile search. So where the amount of time that people spend online on websites and desktops remains relatively stable, almost all of this growth comes from mobile browsing. The second big trend is that online advertising spend continues to grow, and within the next 6 months, online advertising spend will surpass TV advertising spend for the first time in history. However, ad blocking is also growing, so increasingly so mobile ad blocking, and even more in emerging markets than developed countries. And we can see some really interesting statistics about downloads of mobile ad blocking campaigns. So people, while they like going onto the internet with their phones, they feel that it is an extension of their private space and they're not allowing companies in there very easily. So looking forward at some interesting technological trends that will also affect usage on social media. Firstly, voice browsing has had a massive impact on searching and how people search on social media and the internet in general. And we find that because the majority of searching is happening via mobile phones, 20% of all of that searching is voice activated, which means that people use natural language to search for things. Secondly, Google's location targeting has become so effective that it is now 99% effective and allows trends like micro locations and immediate locations, so advertising and communication around what your neighbor is doing and not just what your community is doing. And then finally, the ability to search pictures. So Google Lens will also enable us to classify different pictures and not just typed out voice notes and typed out messages, which of course has a massive impact on social media sites like Instagram and Pinterest, who are picture driven. So what do all these trends and changes mean for social media usage in future? Well, we can see three definite trends on the horizon. Firstly is that the uses for social media platforms are starting to change because of emerging retailers and crafty brands finding innovative ways to reach consumers and to bring value to them. For example, Pinterest, which has traditionally just been a user-generated content a facility where people really go and find some useful and informative tips, we see that Pinterest now is being driven by targeted pins, and people go to Pinterest to actually start buying things. So over 24% of people who searched for products on Pinterest actually bought the products there. So the uses will change, but also because people browse from their phones, pop-up and other more traditional forms of advertising will be seen as incredibly intrusive. So we'll see the emergence of different forms of advertising like mobile app rewards, social click-to-play, and skippable pre-roll ads. And content marketing and the use of user-generated content around the brand will also drive the majority of advertising as we see it. Finally, dynamic advertising will happen through partnerships and hyperlocation-based advertising. So one excellent example of this is Uber partnering with Foursquare. So they use data on the time of day that a ride is ordered, the destination, where they're coming from, etc., to present deals for users driving with Uber. But overall, the biggest thing is that we need to consider what is the value of each social media channel for different users, and also the emotion that people feel when going there. And we don't want to intrude on that emotion and that value. So think of the value that you have when you go and browse through Pinterest or Instagram at night while you're lying in front of the TV, and also the emotion that you want to feel when going to that social networking site, which is quite different probably from the emotion that you want to feel when going to Facebook. So value and content is on the cards for social media platforms.